The door was unlocked. Inside the small Austin apartment, the air was thick with the scent of sweat and adrenaline, remnants of another grueling cycling workout. But tonight, May 11, 2022, there would be no recovery, no next race. Because in just moments, 25-year-old Moriah Wilson, known to friends as M.O., would be lying on the floor, bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds. Welcome to Everyday Crimes. Before we proceed with Mo's story, please like and subscribe to our channel. Mo's killer didn't just take her life. They took everything: her rising career, her dreams of competing at the highest level, the future she had fought so hard for. And the most shocking part? The person accused of pulling the trigger wasn't a stranger. She was another woman, a woman who couldn't stand the thought of M.O. being near the man they both loved. This isn't just a story about jealousy. It's about obsession, a desperate escape, and a crime so personal it sent shockwaves through the world of professional cycling. Stick around, because what happened next was even more unbelievable. What would drive someone to commit such a brutal act? The answer will shock you. Don't go anywhere, this story is just getting started. Austin, Texas, a city known for its live music, booming tech scene, and endless sunshine. But beneath the laid-back vibe and hipster coffee shops, Austin was also becoming a hotspot for elite cyclists. The winding hill country roads and year-round warm weather made it the perfect training ground. And in early 2022, Moriah Wilson had just arrived, ready to make her mark. M.O. wasn't just another athlete. She was a rising star in gravel racing, a brutal, off-road cycling discipline that demanded endurance, grit, and fearlessness. Friends described her as the kind of person who lit up a room, always smiling, always pushing herself harder. She had moved to Austin to train with some of the best, chasing her dream of turning pro. But Mo's life wasn't just about bikes. She was the kind of person who made fast friends, warm, funny, and unshakably kind. She loved cooking, hiking, and the simple joy of a post-ride coffee with friends. To those who knew her, she was full of life, the last person you'd ever expect to become the victim of a violent crime. Yet, in just a few short weeks, everything would change. Because M.O. had unknowingly stepped into a love triangle, one that would turn deadly. Moriah M.O. Wilson wasn't just training in Austin, she was dominating. In April 2022, just weeks before her murder, she won the prestigious Gravel Locos race in Hico, Texas by a landslide, beating seasoned pros. But here's what made M.O. an unlikely target: she wasn't even dating Colin Strickland, the pro cyclist at the center of the love triangle. They'd briefly dated months earlier, but by 2022, they were just friends and training partners. Yet Caitlin Armstrong, Strickland's longtime girlfriend, became obsessed with Mo's Strava logs, tracking her workouts to confirm when she'd be at Strickland's apartment. Police found Armstrong had searched Mo's name online 340 times in the months before the murder. Moriah Wilson and Colin Strickland's connection wasn't the torrid love affair the media later sensationalized, it was far more mundane, which makes the tragedy even more senseless. They met in late 2021 through Austin's tight-knit cycling scene. Strickland, a veteran gravel racer, was drawn to Mo's talent and infectious energy. Their relationship was short-lived, just a few weeks, before M.O. ended it. Texts later revealed in court show her telling Strickland, "I don't see this going anywhere." She wanted to focus on racing, not drama. By early 2022, they had settled into a strictly platonic, training-focused friendship. M.O. even helped Strickland prepare for races, giving him tips on course strategy. But Strickland never told Armstrong the fling was truly over, downplaying Mo's presence in his life. When Armstrong found old texts, he dismissed them as nothing serious. Meanwhile, M.O. had zero interest in rekindling anything. Friends say she was annoyed when Strickland occasionally flirted, shutting him down firmly but politely. M.O. wasn't a homewrecker. She was a young woman who'd moved on, unaware she'd become the fixation of a jealous partner. Her biggest crime: being talented, kind, and briefly tangled in a mess that wasn't hers. Caitlin Armstrong wasn't some faceless stranger lurking in the dark. She was a real estate agent, yoga instructor, an amateur cyclist, someone who moved in the same circles as M.O. Wilson. On paper, she seemed polished, even enviable, stylish, athletic, and in a long-term relationship with professional cyclist Colin Strickland. But beneath the surface, Armstrong was unraveling. Armstrong allegedly tracked Mo's location via Strava and social media, monitoring her workouts and movements. Weeks before the murder, Armstrong showed up unannounced at a group ride where Mo was present, glaring at her the entire time. Friends later said the tension was palpable. The evening of May 11, 2022, started like any other for Moriah Wilson. She had just finished a training ride and stopped by Colin Strickland's Austin apartment to discuss an upcoming race, a routine meeting between two athletes. But what happened next was anything but routine. Surveillance footage shows Mo arriving at Strickland's apartment complex on her bike, dressed in workout clothes. Strickland wasn't home yet, he had asked her to wait inside. At 9:37 p.m., Caitlin Armstrong's black Jeep Cherokee pulls into the complex. She had tracked Strickland's location, likely via Find My iPhone, and knew he wasn't there. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was planned. At 9:42 p.m., Armstrong enters the apartment. Neighbors later reported hearing raised voices, then 3 gunshots in rapid succession. Mo was shot at point-blank range, twice in the chest, once in the head. She collapsed in the bathroom, where she had tried to flee. There was no struggle, no fight, just execution. Armstrong then stole Mo's bike, later found abandoned nearby, to make it look like Mo had left alive. She even turned off the apartment lights on her way out, as if nothing had happened. At 9:51 p.m., Armstrong's Jeep is seen speeding away. She drove straight to a 24-hour car wash, where surveillance shows her meticulously cleaning the vehicle, likely removing gunshot residue. By midnight, she was back home, texting Strickland as if nothing was wrong. When police questioned her days later, she denied everything, even as forensic evidence piled up. The days following Mo Wilson's murder unfolded like a poorly scripted crime drama. Except every unbelievable twist was terrifyingly real. Caitlin Armstrong, the yoga instructor turned alleged killer, didn't break down in remorse. She didn't turn herself in. Instead, she launched a desperate international escape attempt that would ultimately seal her fate. Just 48 hours after the shooting, as Austin police were piecing together surveillance footage, Armstrong made her move. She sold her car for $12,000 in cash, a transaction caught on camera that would later prove crucial. Then she vanished, leaving behind a trail of digital breadcrumbs that suddenly went cold. For weeks, authorities scoured Texas with no leads, while the cycling world mourned Mo and demanded answers. The break came from an unlikely source, a cosmetic surgery clinic in Costa Rica. Armstrong had made one critical error in her flight plan: she'd used her real name when checking into a recovery center after undergoing a dramatic nose job. Local staff became suspicious when their American patient matched the description from Interpol alerts. On June 29, 2022, a full 43 days after the murder, Costa Rican authorities stormed a beachside hostel where Armstrong had been living under the alias Beth Martin. Her appearance had changed dramatically, the new nose, darkened hair, and a carefully cultivated tan, but her fingerprints gave her away. Investigators would later discover she'd been living a surreal double life, renting a cheap room while spending her days at yoga retreats and surfing lessons, as if she could simply outrun what she'd done. The courtroom fell silent as Caitlin Armstrong took the stand in November 2023. For 10 days, prosecutors methodically dismantled her claims, revealing a woman who thought she could outsmart everyone, even the law. It started with the gun. Armstrong insisted she'd sold her 9mm weeks before the murder, but records showed she purchased it 11 days prior. And ballistics matched it perfectly to the bullets in Mo's body. Then there were the digital footprints, her 342 Google searches for Mo Wilson, the deleted texts to Strickland saying, "I know what you did," and the damning Find My iPhone data placing her at the murder scene. But the most chilling moment came when prosecutors played security footage from the car wash. There was Armstrong, scrubbing her Jeep just 19 minutes after the shots were fired, methodically wiping down surfaces while Mo's body lay cooling in that apartment. The jury saw it then. This wasn't panic. This was calculation. Armstrong's defense crumbled when her own sister testified against her, revealing she'd confessed to the killing during a jailhouse call. By the time the jury got the case, they needed less than 2 hours to decide. Guilty. First-degree murder. 90 years with no parole. As the judge read the sentence, Armstrong showed no emotion, just the same cold stare she'd worn throughout the trial. Meanwhile, Mo's family held hands, their tears falling for the vibrant 25-year-old who'd been reduced to a courtroom exhibit. But perhaps the most enduring legacy lives on through the Moriah Wilson Memorial Fund, which has already sent 14 young female cyclists to race camps on scholarships. As her brother Matt put it at the sentencing, Mo didn't just ride bikes, she showed girls they belonged on the starting line. That doesn't die with her. This isn't just a true crime story, it's a wake-up call about obsession, privacy, and the price of unchecked rage. If this case shocked you, tap like and tag someone who needs to hear Mo's story. And subscribe, we're just getting started on exposing the truths that matter.